Hello everyone and welcome to a new video from Your Overwatch. I'm Eddie the Chump and today we're going to talk about Moira. Now that the long-awaited Mercy nerfs have actually gone through, it's a good time to look at some of the other supports and weigh up their strengths and weaknesses in an effort to try and find out who will be the new king or queen, as whichever heroes evolve to dominate that category tend to have a lot of knock-on effects on the rest of the game and how it's played. In the Mercy meta era, Moira was restricted to quite a limited role, particularly in pro play. You'd very often only see her run on 2CP in the now famous quad tank setup. But now with what's happened to Mercy, I think she's going to be a much more common sight, particularly in matchmaking. So let's explore some of the reasons for that. What exactly makes her quite strong? Well, firstly, I'd like to talk about the sheer volume of healing that she can actually do. If she's played in a death ball where all her teammates are grouped together, her main healing beam has the potential to do an absolutely huge amount of healing, and her healing orb, which most players don't utilize enough, can really pile on top of that already significant healing potential. She has a huge capacity to keep people up, particularly if they're large health pool characters in the first place, like tanks. Roadhog in particular can look very strong in a Moira death ball comp. In fact, the Roadhog Orisa combo on defense can look staggeringly strong if they're just kept up forever. In the matchmaking environment, this is ideal for Moira. She's kind of the queen of the poke battle. Because it's slightly less organized, there's a lot more trash damage done on both sides of a poke exchange. What that leads to is a character like Moira being able to charge her ult very quickly. She can at times feel like the support equivalent of Junkrat, seemingly having her ultimate for every fight. There's also another factor in why she's quite strong, and that's the economy of effort it takes to play her. Playing Moira well isn't that mechanically demanding, at least not in comparison to say Ana or Zenyatta. It does require you to manage your abilities well and her healing resources, but the real skill to Moira is in staying alive forever. If you utilize her evasion mechanics properly, Moira can be very difficult to actually isolate and eliminate. This allows you to extend a mid-fight far beyond what your opponents can manage themselves, your tanks becoming the cliffs that the enemy team's waves of attack just crash against. If we return to the Mercy meta just for a moment, the way the mid-fight worked with Zenyatta and Mercy was that both teams tended to have damage amps, so stuff would die very quickly, but Valk and Rez would extend fights in sort of a reset fashion. Moira's mid-fight prowess doesn't work in exactly the same way. The scope of its power is much more limited to a very particular kind of comp. For instance, she's not a fantastic healing option if you plan to play with a lot of flanker DPS. Genji in particular probably won't be very happy, and probably spamming I need healing more often than he normally does. She also doesn't enable greed the same way that Mercy does. Yes, Rez and Valk have been nerfed, but Rez is still an ability in the game. It's not like you can just sub in Moira for Mercy if you still want to continue to run a really cheesy strat, like Pirate Ship on Junkertown. No, the cheese that Moira enables is altogether more particular and less generalized. And despite how I explained her not being an ideal support pick if you are planning to play a Genji and a Tracer of your own, she is, however, quite good against flanker DPS. Fade, lock-on damage, being able to heal herself a lot with an orb in the middle of a duel. She's very good at staying alive against that kind of threat, which is good because they're very popular. If played well, in the right situation with the right team comp around her, she's almost perfect for the very poke-heavy playstyle of matchmaking. Let me quickly paint you a picture. You're playing on attack on a map like Hanamura, and your team doesn't have a Moira, but your opponents do. You poke, you engage, you don't kill the Moira, the enemy tanks stay up forever, your team slowly dies, and she has ult for every fight after that. The less organized the play, the more dominant Moira can seem. Or there's another scenario. Both teams run Moira and plenty of tanks. Well, it's matchmaking, so focus fire isn't really a thing. And welcome to the longest team fight you've ever seen in your entire life.
Jesus Christ, how long is this fight gonna last, dude?
I'm going to go out on a bit of a limb here. I predict that we're going to see quite a lot of Moira in matchmaking for the weeks and months to come. If that turns out to be true, and she does somewhat rise to the top of the support meta, does that mean that she's the next hero that we could consider overpowered? My answer is no. And here's the reasons why. What Moira's good at, and the comps that you can run with her, aren't great absolutely everywhere. Part of my reasoning for why I predicted that we're going to see her a lot in matchmaking is precisely because that level of play doesn't have the organisation required to counter her. I don't, for instance, think that she's suddenly gonna dominate the pro scene. And despite her being very strong at what she does, it's not like she's the only powerful support in the game. As FREEDO has pointed out, Mercy is still quite good. The simple act of amping a decent damage source can still be alarmingly strong. Like I said, Res hasn't completely disappeared either. The synergy of having Ana's Nano for Genji Blade, or Harmony orbing a flanker with Zen to win a duel, these are all really strong options. Plus, Coalescence isn't a defensive ult in the same way that Lucio's Sound Barrier is, or the way that Transcendence functions. So because of that, Moira comps are a little bit more susceptible to big ult combos. Also, another advantage that Moira has over, say, a hero like Ana is that currently her healing spray goes through enemy barriers. If you've ever played Ana for a decent amount of time, you'll know that abilities like Winston's bubble can really get in the way of you doing your job and limit your effectiveness. Well, it turns out that that advantage is actually a bug. It's featured on a forum post from Blizzard of older known issues which they're trying to address. If they do indeed change that, it will be a lot easier to disrupt the huge group healing that Moira can do, and as such will limit her ability to feel quite so smothering. But that isn't the world that we live in right now. At this moment in time, she is a very strong support option. Not overpowered, but has the potential to be dominant if you don't deal with her effectively. Let me know in the comments what you think about Moira's place in the game, and whether or not I'm right to predict that we're about to see a lot more of her. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to leave a rating. If you never want to miss another video of ours again, please click the bell icon next to the subscribe button on our channel to join the notification squad. You'll be in great company. And finally, please follow the Your Overwatch Twitter. It's where you can find updates about new videos and other cool stuff. I've been Eddie the Chump, and until next time.